Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we are in for the first day of the Thanedd Coup expansion and the new Entrenched seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which every unit and artifact that we play gains resilience. Today we are going to be putting some of the new cards to the test in a deck that I think is going to be very effective, so let's give it a look. So today we're going to be using an Imposter Nilfgaard deck, and because there's going to be a lot more units with statuses, this should be a lot more powerful than it is usually, and the idea of this deck is going to be to give spying and other statuses to as many of our opponent's units as possible to allow us to get boosted and deal extra damage. Now the key card for this is Emhyr var Emreis, because he will automatically give spying to every unit that our opponent plays, and because when we play him, he'll gain resilience, he can be out there for 2 rounds, meaning that there are even more cards than usual that he can give spying to. Then as a plan B, we can use the new Fercart card, which will give spying to a random, non-spying enemy unit whenever we play a special card. So that's not going to be as much, and it's not going to be as consistent as Emhyr, but if we don't have Emhyr in our hand, then we could use Fercart for that purpose as well. Then the key engines will be Impera Enforcers, getting 1 damage every time we give an opponent unit spying. Thirsty Dame, who will already get boosted by 1 whenever they play a unit, because they'll gain resilience automatically, making this what is usually one of the strongest cards in this seasonal event. Then Seditious Aristocrats also getting boosted every time our opponents gain spying. And the Thanedd Turncoat being another consistent source of damage when our opponents gain spying, as well as a way to give 1 opposing unit spying. Then the big card that we're saving up for is Artaud, not entirely sure how to pronounce that, but with him we can create a copy of one of our opponent's cards that we gave spying to, and assuming that we got Emhyr down there early, that means we could play almost any card that our opponent played, including some of their best units. And now I'll flip through to show you what else we have, and we do have a lot of aristocrats in our deck, and we have a lot of units that get boosted or apply damage when we apply statuses, and Masquerade Ball gives us both more of those cards to get boosted from statuses, and gives us ways to apply statuses, so this is a great inclusion. Then Yennefer's Invocation is one of our best forms of removal, and because there are going to be so many cards that have spying, Coup de Grace should have many potential targets. Then Cahir is basically our counter in case, say, we're going against Nilfgaard and they also have Thirsty Dames, or any other opponent who happens to have a greedy, boost-centric deck. Then the Defender is likely someone that we will use to either protect Cahir and or Emhyr. Those are likely our highest priority cards. Then Imperial Diviner can either purify a defender or get rid of the resilience on one of our opponent's strongest units so that they don't have that card in a future round. Then as we start getting to the end of the deck, we have some cards that we ideally not end up playing, and Imperial Diplomacy is mostly just in here because it's a special card, so it can work with Fercart. Then Master of Disguise can work with our leader ability or with another card that we'll talk about in just a minute. That other card, of course, being the Moorlehem Hunter, which will be our other most reliable source of blocking, as well as another aristocrat to trigger Masquerade Ball. Then lastly, we have a Mage Infiltrator, which is another card that we probably ideally don't have to play. However, she is a spy, so that does help out a lot of our other cards, and to a tiny extent also put some weak units on our opponent's side to potentially flood their rows. So there's a look at the deck, and the theme is absolutely spying. And with the cards from the new expansion, I think that archetype is going to be much stronger than it was previously. I'm excited to check it out. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going in Skellige here, and we'll go first. Okay, and we have Masquerade Ball, along with several aristocrats, so it should be easy enough to trigger it. And Cahir is, of course, a big card as well. So are these Thirsty Dames. We don't have great sources of giving our opponents spying right now, though, and that's usually a pretty important part of our deck. So let's try getting rid of the Imperial Diviner. And Fercart might be good enough. It's definitely not perfect. We'd prefer something like Emhyr, but maybe we can make this work. So let's start off with one of the Thirsty Dames, because this will get boosted every time they play a unit. And they'll go with Delirium, which is enough to destroy it immediately. We do, of course, have another one where that came from, though. However, that being said, that is one of our aristocrats, and so we might want to lead off with a Masquerade Ball here, so that way we still have enough aristocrats to trigger this. So let's go for it here. And they'll go with Ermion. It'll get them another alchemy card from their deck, and yes, this is going to be another way to destroy this card. However, we, of course, do have 4 aristocrats, and specifically Thirsty Dames, so we could still get another one out there if we really wanted to. However, as soon as we do start playing aristocrats, now we're going to start applying poison, and I'm not sure Ermion is the card that we want to get rid of with poison. Instead, why don't we start setting up our Master of Disguise plus Moorlehem Hunter combo by going with the Master of Disguise first, because that way we don't have to play an aristocrat immediately. We can wait a little bit first. Okay, and Sucrus could very well be the card that we choose to lock here. So I think this works well. Why don't we now go with the Moorlehem Hunter? And we could do that to lock Sucrus, although that would also give us a source of poison, and Sucrus would also be a decent target for poison as well. That might be a little bit overkill, both locking and poisoning him. But I suppose, even then, he's a 6 power card we can potentially get rid of. That's not a terrible thing, so let's go for it. And so here is our source of poison. That'll start getting our Master of Disguise boosted, and we'd like to get this Thirsty Dame out here pretty quickly as well. Okay, they can Purify, which does, of course, mean that they lose that Resilience, so they might have gotten rid of the lock, they might have gotten rid of the poison, but it's not all that great of a move. And that does also mean that, of course, because we don't have another source of poison in our hand, that when we do play our next aristocrat, we're going to have 1 poison, but it's not going to be enough to remove anything. So I think we do just play a Thirsty Dame here, and the poison isn't going to be a big factor. It will, of course, boost that Thirsty Dame a little bit. But more than anything, we just want to get her out here so that she gets boosted every time they play a card, whenever they get Resilience. And they'll go with Crow's Eye Rhizome. This is definitely looking like an alchemy deck. I suppose we probably should have expected that as soon as we saw Battle Trance, although usually we'd see something like a Crow Clan Preacher at this point. And since we haven't seen one yet, I think we try to save Cahir. Let's actually go with the Thanedd Turncoat here. Use that to give Sucrus Spying. And then what we can do with that is that could set up a Coup de Grace play, or ideally even Fercart into Coup de Grace. Okay, now Geralt's Quen. What are they going to do from their deck with this? It is, okay, Entrenched, as we might have expected. That was the combo they really wanted to get, and that's why shutting down Sucrus was such a big deal. And they'll go Martyrdom as well to get him a little bit bigger. And so whatever unit we play here would normally get destroyed by Entrenched. However, we could go with Imposter. And maybe now we choose to get out Cahir. And let's use our Tactic as well to get him boosted up, because this might be the last card we want to play. And they'll go with Spring Equinox, and this is why we wanted to try to split our units between 2 different rows. That means we won't get any of these units carrying over into round 2, and that hurts a lot for Cahir, but it doesn't give them any points in this round, so that means we're holding on to our lead, and it also means whatever unit they play next is still going to get hit by Entrenched. So I think it is relatively safe for us to pass here. And they'll pass as well, so that gives us the win on even cards. Okay, and we got Emhyr, and that is huge. He is one of the fundamental pieces of this deck, so I love that. And Impera Enforcers can go really well with him. I think we get rid of Imperial Diplomacy, though. And, okay, Artaud is also fantastic, especially with Emhyr. So this is looking great. I think we stick with this. And so, of course, we won round 1 on even cards. However, because they purified all of our melee row units, it actually means we have slightly less points carrying over into round 2. But I really like our setup here, so let's go with Emhyr first. And he lets us draw into the Moorlehem Hunter. Not really sure we want that, though. Let's put this one back into our deck. Don't think we want to change anything that we already had. And they'll use Stunning Blow. Get rid of that Thirsty Dame, and it was going to be a good engine. It is unfortunate to lose it. However, we have some very strong engines coming up soon. Imperial Enforcers, like I said, plus Emhyr is fantastic, so let's go with that. That'll give us a nice source of damage, and if we could do that to set up Coup de Grace on somebody, that'd be amazing. And I'm not sure we're going to have enough damage to get Entrenched down to 3 to get the Death Blow on Coup de Grace, but it might be possible. I think we go with that as one plan, and then, of course, units will get Spying whenever they play them, because we have Emhyr out here, so that's plan B. Oh, and look at that. That is clever. Purifying Entrenched. And on Adrenaline 4, he is active, so that is potentially problematic. And so whatever card we play here is going to get destroyed. I think we use the Seditious Aristocrats as our throwaway. They would have been great, assuming we could have had Emhyr stick, and then they would have gotten boosted every time they play a unit. But something had to go, and I think these cards are all higher priority. And then they'll go with the Proclaim Preacher. Okay, so that is one of the cards we absolutely expected to see from them. It does get Spying, which means it could immediately become a target for Coup de Grace. And that also means we could use this guy to create a copy of it. So I think let's go with our damage first. And I don't think we're quite going to be able to get Entrenched down low enough, because we need to go with Fercart here, I think. And that'll give us the Coup de Grace play, which at this point, more or less... Oh, actually, come to think of it, no, we can do this. Let's go for it. And we'll put him, I guess, over here. I forgot, of course, he got damaged when we played Fercart, and that got him low enough for us to actually trigger the death blow with Coup de Grace, and so they'll get a Crow Messenger, and that will mostly just tank the hit from Entrenched, but it will summon another Crow from their deck, so that's not a bad idea. And the card we drew into from Fercart was Imperial Diplomacy. I think we go for that now, and I think we wait to play you until the last minute, because Emhyr is going to continue to give Spying to whatever units they play, and so if they're saving one of their best cards for the end, and if we're patient, we might be able to create it. Let's just deal the damage first here, and then go Imperial Diplomacy. And, oh, actually, we put you right here. Oh, for some reason, I thought you were Sucrus. Entrenched and Sucrus are just in the same place in my mind. They're functionally the same card, or at least they are an inseparable pair. And so I was like, no, we'll just put him next to Entrenched. He won't get damaged. No, that's Entrenched, not Sucrus. Okay, anyways, while I was chatting, they used a Marjoram to boost up their Thanedd Coup, which is actually quite unfortunate, because we really wanted them to play another unit. That way we could give Spying to it and potentially make a copy of it. So I'm actually not 100% sure what units we have given Spying thus far. I don't think the list is very long. There's definitely the Proclaim Preacher. I think we got a Crow Messenger as well, neither of which is terribly good. But let's give it a shot here. And oh, hold on. We do have Sucrus. I did not remember that we had given him Spying. But now we have the combo that they wanted to use. And that means that just about any unit they play here would get destroyed. But do they have a special card that could get them out of this situation? And they just pass, so I think the answer to that question is a resounding no, they do not have an answer, so we will take the win. Alright, so going against monsters here. And we'll go first. Okay, so we have a lot of our engines that get boosted when we can apply the Spying, but we don't have a great source of generating spies, besides Fercart, although he's really a plan B, and then we could directly play a spy with Mage Infiltrator. But I think let's get rid of Imperial Diplomacy, and we'll get more of those types of cards here. Let's try again, maybe? And Thirsty Dame is similar. Can we swap you out as well? And Moorlehem Hunter doesn't really help in that regard. So strong cards, we just may not have the setup that we need to make them work. Let's start with the Thirsty Dame, though. And they'll go with an Endriga Larva. May mean they're looking to do Thrive. Which, bear in mind, boosting does not carry over from one round to the next on units that have resilience, so if they are going to go that route, then I'd argue not one of the stronger setups for this seasonal event. Also, we should be able to destroy both of them with the Mage Infiltrator. I think that might be the play here. Okay, then they'll go with another round of the same thing. And I think what we may want to do here is lock with the Moorlehem Hunter, and then play the Master of Disguise to get boosted from that. So let's go for it. And let's lock the one that has Resilience. That is, of course, in theory, stronger than the one that doesn't. And remember that the lock, of course, does carry over from one round to the next, so that will still be a factor. Okay, then they'll go with the Cave Troll. And this is an interesting one, because we could get rid of it with Yennefer's Invocation. I think that is probably the play here, in which case what we're actually going to want to do is go with Fercart and then use him to play Yennefer's Invocation. So let's go that route here. Play Yenvo. And use that to get rid of the Cave Troll, because presumably they are trying to hide something big behind it. And then we got... the Imperial Diviner is the card that we drew into, and that's unfortunate because that, of course, would have been a way of purifying the defender, and then we could have saved Yennefer's Invocation for whatever big card they were trying to hide behind the Cave Troll. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out in our favor there. Okay, then they'll go with the Beast, and that is a strong card. You do wonder if maybe that was what they were planning on hiding behind it. In which case, we could purify it and at least get rid of that resilience so that it won't carry over into round 2. Or we could even use Imposter to lock it and create a copy of it, which is a little tempting, come to think of it. I'd argue maybe we do want to go that route. It's early enough in the round that it'll have some time to get boosted, and then I think we'll also go with our Master of Disguise here. And maybe we'll use the tactic on him, because that may end up being the last card we play in this round. Okay, they'll go with the Witch Apprentice, and they definitely do not have Sabbath at the moment. Oh, although they are going to use their Woodland Spirit. They've not caught up to us yet, and we are generating a decent number of points per turn between the Thirsty Dame, Beast, and Master of Disguise. So it's tempting to pass here. We definitely could, although I'm also tempted to purify that Woodland Spirit so that they lose 9 points that they would have otherwise carried over into round 2. So maybe we get a little greedy and still go for that. And they will keep on playing here. They're going with the Ice Giant, which is not enough for them to catch us, although they do now have Sabbath, so that Witch Apprentice is getting boosted by 2 every turn. However, even if we pass here, our Beast is getting boosted by 2 every turn, our Master of Disguise is getting boosted by 1, and our Thirsty Dame is probably getting boosted by 1 every turn, so we can still outpace them there even after passing. So I think that is the time for us to end round 1. Okay, they'll go with Old Spear Tip. That is a big card. And that makes us tied here, but they have now gone a card down. Technically, that Witch Apprentice will get boosted at the end of this turn, so I think they could pass, but they are going to play one more here just to be safe. And that is enough for them to pass us, although they have now gone 2 cards down in doing so. Okay, and I'm a big fan of the cards that we drew into. The Cave Troll, which of course we put on the top of our deck with Yennefer's Invocation, so we knew that was going to happen. But Emhyr is basically the card that we were waiting for in round 1 that we never got. He still works really well with our Impera Enforcers and Seditious Aristocrat and Thanedd Turncoat as well. And then Cahir could work really well if they get greedy with their boosting, which it looks like, since they're playing some Thrive, might be the case. So I think this is just about exactly what we're looking for here. Let's stick with this. And notice how they do have more points carrying over than we do for round 2. We, of course, had a very heavily boosted Thirsty Dame, whereas a lot of their points were coming from the base power from Old Spear Tip. Okay, Rat Catcheress. Another card with high base power. And we'd like to get Cahir down there as quickly as possible, because between the Wild Hunt Hound and this Witch Apprentice, they're getting a lot of points per turn from boosts. It would, of course, be safer to first play the Cave Troll, but I'm not sure if we can afford to take that risk. We might need to play Cahir right now, so I think we take that chance. This is monsters we're talking about, so in theory, they might not have much in the way of control options, so hopefully Cahir is safe. They'll go with the Necker Warrior, and yeah, that's Thrive, so that works well for us. And I think if they did have any way of removing cards, they probably would have used it on Cahir there. I suppose they could potentially have a Geralt of Rivia to remove a 9-power Cahir, in which case we would want to have the Cave Troll down there now. But the other card we'd like to get down as soon as possible would be Emhyr. That way we can start giving spying to all the units that they play, and that will set up our Imperial Enforcers, our Seditious Aristocrats, and our Thanedd Turncoat. And because we still have a pretty large deficit here, I think we do need to get greedy like that. Let's go for it. And then we also draw into Masquerade Ball. Okay, well, we only have 1 Aristocrat at the moment, so we can't trigger it all the way, but maybe we get rid of one of our Imperial Enforcers. And at least look to use the first round of this in round 2, and use the last round in round 3. Okay, then they have another Thrive unit. So again, Thrive is perfectly fine when we have Cahir down there. And so the next cards we want to play are all the ones that either get boosted or deal damage whenever they get spying. And we can, of course, add a Thirsty Dame to that list. So I think we do go Masquerade Ball here. And theoretically, we could steal this Mage Infiltrator. Not sure that's a huge factor. So I guess we wait just in case they happen to have another 1 power card that we really want to steal. Okay, and then more of the still relatively new monster units. They do have at least 1 adjacent relic here. And so what we might want to do here is, just in case the last card that they have is some form of removal, let's play the Cave Troll to protect both Cahir and Emhyr. Okay, and it is Spring Equinox, so that will purify everyone on our melee row, which does hurt, because that means we will lose Cahir and we will lose Emhyr. However, it means they don't have any more points that they're putting up here, so that should make it feasible for us to pass them. In which case, I think we go with the Seditious Aristocrats here. And that will, of course, give us our first form of poison, which I think we use on the Ratcatcheress, because this is the highest base power unit that they have right now. At least of the ones that have resilience. And that does give us enough points for us to pass them already. So I think we leave it at this. And take the round 2 win with 2-card advantage. Okay, so we drew to a few big cards here. Namely Artaud and also Coup de Grace. At the moment they have a couple of spying units, although one of them does have immunity, so we're not going to be able to target that. I think we probably get rid of the Moorlehem Hunter though. And Oneiromancy is obviously fantastic. And I'm not sure we have enough spying for the Thanedd Turncoat to be all that effective here. And a Thirsty Dame is probably preferable. And it is also an aristocrat. So that means we can trigger this last round of Masquerade Ball. So we definitely will want to do that. However, I think first what we do is we go with Impera Enforcers. The idea there being that we can deal 1 damage to the Necker Warrior, giving us the option to use Coup de Grace on that. Otherwise, we can just use it on this guy. I think we'll wait just in case, though, because I want to see if they do trigger this Thrive on their next turn, in which case this will get boosted and it will no longer be in Coup de Grace range. And they don't. Okay, but what is Cahir Dyffryn going to create? Interestingly, the new Bloody Mistress card, and, well, I hate to break it to them, but we could both destroy that card and create a copy of it on our side, which is quite tempting. Do we think that's worth doing? I think it probably is. So I say, let's go for it. And I suppose we'll throw it in the melee row. It's not row locked, is it? I don't think so. Alright, and at this point, our damage doesn't matter too much. In fact, why don't we instead hit Cahir Dyffryn? Okay, then they'll play the real Bloody Mistress. And I'm thinking we may want to lock that with Oneiromancy. Because otherwise this is going to be their most dangerous card. Either that or we go with the Thirsty Dame here because that'll get boosted whenever they play their next unit. That's only 1 point though, and I think this is worth more than 1 point. So let's go Oneiromancy into the Moorlehem Hunter. To lock this, shut that down, and that will be another one of our aristocrats, and so we can use this. Get rid of the Ratcatcheress. Okay, then they have Caretaker as their last card. That's mostly there to purify units. Oh, which I would have said would have primarily been to remove resilience on our side, although that did unlock the Bloody Mistress, and that should still work even after they've passed. Oh, and of course, we still need Sabbath to trigger ours. That's why ours hasn't transformed. So I think what we do here is we go with Artaud, and I don't even know what we've given spying to thus far, but I think this is actually worth the most points as long as we play it here. And now, we do have the Sabbath in this row. And so that means, if we play the Thirsty Dame here, which I suppose we can put in the melee row just to be absolutely certain of that, then we will have enough points to take the win. So there's a look at a Nilfgaard deck using cards from the new Thanedd Coup expansion for the new Entrenched seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below. Let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.